Uniform Civil Code. The discussions on Uniform Civil Code for a uniform law in India trace back to the colonial age. But why is there a need to settle for a common law in a culturally diverse nation like India? This is the question everyone is looking toward to find an answer for. The question might seem very basic, but its complication is as complex as deep is the study of any other subject, especially considering our own body is as alien to us as we think we own it but do not know anything about it. So then, is there a need to find an expert who can answer us, enlighten us, bring us from darkness into the light? And if so, who that person is and how are we going to find it? I hope we do, but until that we do, it is as mysterious to you as it is to me. So let us try to find through discussion today a little bit about the Uniform Civil Code and see to what conclusion we reach. Since it is a customary point of view that after East India Company settled for trade in India and later became a ruling entity, it tried unification in the codification of Indian law about crimes, shreds of evidence, contracts, etc., but did not find the right end because of the cultural diversity, and we did not support it either because we, as Hindu and Muslims or any other religious sect, would follow religious laws to fulfill our sustenance and rectitude. The Constitution in India, under Article 44, directs the state to secure a civil code for its citizens, but its implementation has been left to the decision of the government due to its political sensitivity of the subject. The requirement of the Uniform Civil Code first occurred in the colonial era. However, the makers of the Constitution chose to draft it as a directive principle in the Constitution. Why did they do that? Because by then India had already experienced the changes undergone during the colonial era, and we had gone through a lot of struggles and phases along with the Britishers. For example, Industrial Revolution, Print Revolution, abolition of laws such as Sati Pratha.
18वीं सदी के उत्तरार्ध में कुछ यूरोपीय और भारतीय विद्वानों ने प्राचीन भारतीय दर्शन, विज्ञान, धर्म और साहित्य का अध्ययन प्रारंभ किया। इस अध्ययन के द्वारा भारतीय अपने प्राचीन ज्ञान से परिचित हुए, जिसने उनमें अपनी सभ्यता के प्रति गौरव का भाव जागृत किया। इसने सुधारकों को उनके सामाजिक और धार्मिक सुधारों के कार्य में भी सहयोग प्रदान किया। उन्होंने सामाजिक रूढ़ियों, अंधविश्वासों और अमानवीय व्यवहारों व परंपराओं के प्रति अपने संघर्ष में जनमत तैयार करने के लिए प्राचीन भारतीय ग्रंथों का ज्ञान उपयोग किया। ऐसा करने के दौरान उनमें से अधिकांश ने विश्वास और आस्था के स्थान पर तर्क का सहारा लिया। अतः भारतीय सामाजिक व धार्मिक सुधारकों ने अपने उद्देश्यों की प्राप्ति के लिए एक तरफ अपने पाश्चात्य ज्ञान का प्रयोग किया, तो दूसरी तरफ प्राचीन भारतीय विचारों को भी महत्व दिया। ऐसे ही समाज सुधारकों में से एक थे राजा राम मोहन राय। राजा राम मोहन राय को भारतीय पुनर्जागरण का अग्रदूत और आधुनिक भारत का जनक कहा जाता है। भारतीय सामाजिक और धार्मिक पुनर्जागरण के क्षेत्र में उनका विशिष्ट स्थान है। वे ब्रह्म समाज के संस्थापक, भारतीय भाषाई प्रेस के प्रवर्तक, जन जागरण और सामाजिक सुधार आंदोलन के प्रणेता तथा बंगाल में नव जागरण युग के पितामह थे। उन्होंने भारतीय स्वतंत्रता संग्राम और पत्रकारिता के कुशल संयोग से दोनों क्षेत्रों को गति प्रदान की। उनके आंदोलनों ने जहां पत्रकारिता को चमक दी, वहीं उनकी पत्रकारिता ने आंदोलनों को सही दिशा दिखाने का कार्य किया। राजा राम मोहन राय का जन्म संभवतः 1772 ईस्वी में बंगाल के एक संपन्न परिवार में हुआ था। उन्होंने पारंपरिक संस्कृत शिक्षा बनारस में और पारसी व अरबी का ज्ञान पटना में प्राप्त किया था। 15 वर्ष की आयु तक उन्हें बंगाली, संस्कृत, अरबी तथा फारसी का ज्ञान हो गया था। किशोरावस्था में उन्होंने काफी भ्रमण किया। उन्होंने 1803 से लेकर 1814 तक ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी के लिए भी काम किया। उन्होंने ब्रह्म समाज की स्थापना की तथा इंग्लैंड और फ्रांस का भी भ्रमण किया। राजा राम मोहन राय ने ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी की नौकरी छोड़कर अपने आप को राष्ट्र सेवा में झोंक दिया। भारत की स्वतंत्रता प्राप्ति के अलावा वे दोहरी लड़ाई लड़ रहे थे। दूसरी लड़ाई उनकी अपने ही देश के नागरिकों से थी, जो कि अंधविश्वास और कुरीतियों में जकड़े थे। राजा राम मोहन राय ने उन्हें झकझोरने का काम किया। बाल विवाह, सती प्रथा, जातिवाद, कर्मकांड, पर्दा प्रथा आदि का उन्होंने भरपूर विरोध किया। धर्म प्रचार के क्षेत्र में अलेक्जेंडर डफ ने उनकी काफी सहायता की थी। बाद में उन्होंने अंग्रेजी, ग्रीक और हिब्रू भाषा भी सीखी। वे फ्रेंच और लैटिन भाषा के भी जानकार थे। उन्होंने न केवल हिंदू बल्कि इस्लाम, ईसाई और यहूदी धर्म का भी गहन अध्ययन किया था। उन्होंने संस्कृत, बंगाली, हिंदी, फारसी और अंग्रेजी भाषा में अनेक पुस्तकें भी लिखी थी। उन्होंने बंगाली और फारसी भाषा में 2 समाचार पत्र भी निकाले थे। मुगल शासकों ने उन्हें राजा की उपाधि प्रदान की और अपने दूत के रूप में इंग्लैंड भेजा। वे 1831 में इंग्लैंड पहुंचे और वहीं 1833 में उनकी मृत्यु हो गई। वे भारत में अंग्रेजी शिक्षा के समर्थक थे और मानते थे कि नवजागरण के प्रसार और विज्ञान की शिक्षा के लिए अंग्रेजी का ज्ञान आवश्यक है। वे प्रेस की आजादी के प्रबल पक्षधर थे और इसी कारण उन्होंने प्रेस पर लगे प्रतिबंधों को हटाने के लिए आंदोलन भी चलाया। राजा राममोहन राय का मानना था कि हिंदू धर्म में प्रवेश कर चुकी बुराइयों को दूर करने के लिए और उसके शुद्धिकरण के लिए उस धर्म के मूल ग्रंथों के ज्ञान से लोगों को परिचित कराना आवश्यक है। इस उद्देश्य की प्राप्ति के लिए ही उन्होंने वेदों व उपनिषदों का बंगाली भाषा में अनुवाद कर प्रकाशित करने का कठिन कार्य किया। वे एक ऐसे सार्वभौमिक धर्म के समर्थक थे जो कि एक परम सत्ता के सिद्धांत पर आधारित था। उन्होंने मूर्ति पूजा और अंधविश्वासों व पाखंडों का भी विरोध किया। धार्मिक सुधारों के क्षेत्र में उनका सबसे बड़ा योगदान उनके द्वारा 1828 में ब्रह्म समाज की स्थापना करना
by our famous activists led by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. The law was then framed and passed by the then Governor General of India, Lord William Bentinck. Since our lifestyle has changed big time, the drafting community knew exactly what was required at the time because the progress we had made could not be neglected to the simple fact that it was achieved through the struggles for freedom. Why do we need to introduce a uniform civil code now? To maintain the sanctity of the diverse culture we celebrate here in India is the answer. This story ages back several decades. Then, how does the need for a uniform civil code arise now? India, as a nation, has witnessed several religious protests, debates, scrutiny. We all serve the same purpose to the nation, which is towards its empowerment. When our goals are similar, why is there a need for two or more different paths of religion to be followed? This too is outdated reason because it has been 75 years since we achieved our independence. So the question remains, what has changed now? It is easily noticeable to even a blind that under the leadership of present Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi, our nation has grown in leaps and bounds. We stand today at such global stature where the eyes of every nation naturally dawns upon us when it comes to unification culturally or abating the terrorism because these two factors stand up a heap of violent obstacle to the ways of nations independent and global progress of all nations together. In case you follow the political debates on the national televisions or news
Whether it is riots where it has involved Muslims or Hindus or Sikhs or anybody else, the denunciation is extremely explicit by Prime Minister Modi and by the BJP.
But some leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP, have also explicitly promoted India as a Hindu nation rather than a secular one.
और हमको तो विश्वास है भाई साहब, मैं स्पष्ट रूप से कह रहा हूँ चतुर्वेदी जी कि 2024 में भारत विश्व गुरु ही नहीं, हिंदू राष्ट्र भी बनेगा भारत।
Critics accuse them of emphasizing identity issues while turning a blind eye to increasingly bolder Hindu groups.
All these things embolden the Hindu nationalists, the fringe elements, and they're the ones who undertake large-scale rioting and lynching.
The popularity of Modi has given allied politicians the courage to enact new laws around the country that explicitly discriminate against Muslims, most of whom don't support the BJP.
I strongly feel that the government is sending the message that Muslims do not belong to this country.
Now, some observers warn that the BJP-led government may seek to exploit religious divisions to consolidate power at the expense of India's minorities.
The fear it has created among the community is actually the main monster which is driving the people to suicide, to depression. Almost everyone is affected.
Although tensions between Indian Hindus and Muslims existed for centuries, they more or less lived and worked side by side.
If you go back and read the history, the divisions were there, but they were not explicit or they were not cause for any friction amongst the population.
But the British Raj had a strategy that firmly separated them into groups. It was called divide and rule.
How do you control this massive population? You divide them along religious lines, caste lines.
Policies including a separate electorate for Muslims led to rigid religious identities. This also allowed the British to pit groups against each other and consolidate their own power.
It was essentially to continue ruling over this large population and large land mass and an area which was really pretty productive, rich, and helped the British Empire back home.
August 15th, 1947, the great symbol of the British Empire came down for the last time to be replaced by the banner of the new Indian government.
But in 1947, when Great Britain decided it could no longer afford to be in India, it decided to partition the subcontinent into two independent unions. Pakistan, which also included modern-day Bangladesh, was designated as a Muslim-majority area, and India was designated as Hindu. The result was an unprecedented migration of 15 million people, which historians say claimed between 500,000 and 2 million lives in the bloodshed that followed.
I guess the contours of that agreement was possibly the biggest tragedy in India's history because it led to the largest migration of population and it was pretty violent and bloody. Thousands and thousands of people lost their lives. Hindus who moved from Pakistan into India and Muslims who opted for Pakistan as their homeland in 1947.
The violent nature of the partition created an atmosphere of hostility and suspicion between India and Pakistan that still exists. It also influences the relationship between India's Hindu majority and members of its Muslim minority who didn't flee to Pakistan during the partition.
It's very difficult for certain set of people to forget that event. You know, the Hindus accuse Muslims of doing it, Muslims accuse Hindus of doing it. So, those divisions have continued till this day.
Channels, it has become very evident by the nature of discussions as well as demands of the citizens to incur peace. How is Uniform Civil Code, with the right exact path to peace citizens are looking forward to? We now very casually witness the adult of different communities very openly communicating and criticizing various sects of their cultures and others, making points to prove which better path to follow all the way. We have witnessed several cases related to love jihad where youngsters are looking forward to live a life of their own, running away from the societal norms to solemnize life in peace. Even after Islam in 10th century came another way of life taught to us by Gautam Buddha in the 12th century called Buddhism. He addressed the world from America to bring to their notice the importance of humanity and how can we serve humanity in the best possible way in that era. He is said to be an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. The claims of these teachings are traced back to ancient Hinduism, whose textures and scriptures has been lost. Now, such claims too have been made in these existing centuries. It is not a hidden fact today that our youngsters are exposed to a pool of knowledge, and our constitution also gives them the right to practice the faith of their choice, doing justice to their lives and others. None of these developments are new, but the tale of the time defining our existence, survival instincts, and future. What do you think? Will the USOC be a success toward this in this direction? Today, in the times of global unison, where different companies operate not solely for themselves but globally, competing against their competitors, when the technology thrives globally, communities of people of similar faith reside in foreign countries in unity. What should be the shape of UCC?